Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to another video. It's really great to be back here with you again. And so we do have another eclipse upon us. So we do have a full moon or a lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus happening this weekend. So that will be on the 28th if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, as I am, it's going to be Sunday, the 29th. So this upcoming eclipse in Taurus is closing out a 2-year cycle. So we had our first introductory eclipse in Taurus back in November of 2021 when the nodes were still in Gemini and Sagittarius. And then those nodes eventually moved into Taurus and Scorpio in the January. So we've had eclipses all through 2022 in Taurus and Scorpio. And then this year we had our first Aries introduction when the nodes were still in Scorpio and Taurus. And then it was July when they finally moved into Aries and Libra. We had our solar eclipse in Libra just a couple of weeks ago. And now, as the eclipse cycle began with a lunar eclipse in Taurus and Scorpio with the nodes out of sign, it ends with a lunar eclipse in Taurus with the nodes out of sign. But this time, instead of Gemini Sag, it's Aries and Libra. So before I share some thoughts about this eclipse and a little bit of a warning in respect to it, I do want to let you know that coming up on the 15th, so that's the 15th in Australia, be the 14th in other parts of the globe, I will be beginning a new contemporary astrology program. So this is ideal for beginners in astrology. If you've been watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, reading up on astrology, but you really would love some more guided mentorship and education in astrology, I'd invite you to come along. If you've been doing astro a while, but maybe really do want to brush up on the basics, it will be ideal for you as well. So we start on the 15th. It's a 1-year program. And then upon successful completion of year 1, you get invited to join year 2. So we go straight from the beginning, a little bit of history and background of astrology and philosophy, of course, too. We go from houses, signs, planets, aspects, fixed stars, essential dignity, all of the things. So by the end of year 1, which is really about 8 months in duration, you will have all the tools you need to be able to read charts for friends and family, and then of course clients as well. So just after 8 months of education, you will be well equipped enough to actually start doing readings for people. So there are classes that are webinar based, as well as weekly Q&As. It's all delivered on an app which you can see on a phone or a device, and also there's online access as well. In addition to that, you get a lot of access to me to ask questions. There's the groups and communities that are also learning alongside you. So the groups are sort of, they're tight, they're not too big, and I really enjoy teaching, and my students have lots of lovely things to say. So if you do want to sign up, or at least get some more information, I'll pop a link in the description below, and you can read through all of the details. Now, if you do want to ask me some questions that you might be thinking, do I really need to start at the beginning because I've already been doing this a while, for example, then just email me. My address is cassandra@cassandratindall.com. Alrighty, so yes, this is the last eclipse that we're going to see in Taurus for about a decade. So there's going to be some breathing room at long last between our Taurus-Scorpio houses. That being said, though, I would be loath to kind of think, all right, it's done. I can, close off this chapter and move on to the next thing. There's more to come in the Taurus part of our lives. So this eclipse, I think it's an over yet but not over type of thing. So let's share the chart. I'm going to pull up the chart of the eclipse so we can start to break down some of its meanings. So one of the things that I like to look at, with the eclipse is, firstly, well, it doesn't have to necessarily be firstly, but the idea here is, okay, well, what's happening with the energy? So it's a full moon. All lunar eclipses are a full moon. This one is attached to the North Node, and as I mentioned, it is an out of sign eclipse, so the node is in Aries. Now, the lunation itself is happening within 18 degrees of the node, which makes it an eclipse. So the North Node is 24 Aries, and the eclipse itself is taking place at 5 Taurus. Now, the sign of Taurus is where the moon finds its exaltation. So as far as eclipses go, this one does sort of, potentially bring some of the best of what an exalted moon in Taurus means. Stability, comfort, security, abundance, wealth. And this is more on the material plane. So I'll come back to that in a minute. What I want to hone in on also is the eclipse ruler. So the eclipse ruler of this eclipse is the same ruler we had in the Libra solar eclipse a couple of weeks ago, and that is Venus in Virgo. So as I mentioned, I didn't do an eclipse video as such for the solar eclipse. It was a live stream. So if you've not seen that, you can always go back to the live tab on the channel, because I don't think those come through on the main feed of the channel page. So anyway, Venus is in Virgo. And so Venus struggles a little bit in Virgo because she's technically in the position that we refer to as being in detriment. So while the moon is exalted and in a really good place, Venus, not so much. Okay, but Venus is also making an applying trine to the planet Uranus. So it's tight, it's 3 degrees. So technically in that range of engagement. So Venus in Virgo is struggling in a sense to bring beauty, harmony, justice, peace, diplomacy. Venus is the sort of treats and trinkets planet, whereas in Virgo, she's ruled by Mercury. So she's trying to be a little bit more exacting and fact and figuring and getting information. And that's not Venus's primary function. So hence she struggles a little bit in Virgo. It's not bad. It's not a moral judgment on the planet. It's just that she's not well cast in the role of Virgo, if you want to look at it that way. So she is practical. She is trying to make things better through analytical means. She's trying to perfect and hone and refine. And in the practical earth sign of Virgo, she's trying to do things in a methodical and practical way. Now, as she applies to trine Uranus, there may be that sudden development, that welcome outcome or breakthrough. Venus in Virgo can be sort of buried in the details. And then all of a sudden, there's that flash of insight or that new opportunity, maybe that sudden feeling or inkling or something new and exciting coming through. We are talking about earth signs, particularly an eclipse in Taurus. Taurus is by far the most resistant sign of the zodiac to change. Not only is she an earth sign, she's also fixed, so she's not budging. Virgo, on the other hand, Venus in Virgo, she's a little bit more adaptable in the sense that she's mutable. So she's got a little bit of wiggle room here. The trine to Uranus suggests that, with a certain level of ease and flow, Venus is maybe willing to try something new. She's ready to push the envelope a little bit. Maybe it's that very thing that you've been resisting is now, okay, all right, I'll do it. I have some Taurus planets, and I often like to stick with the things that I know and that I know work for me. And then every now and then I might switch things up a bit. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I do that sooner? So this might be a little bit of a theme or a flavor with this aspect. This can also help you if for the past 2 years, this eclipse cycle has kept you stuck or stagnant. this one might be the one that goes, hey, you know, what have I got to lose? Let's give it a go. You know, let's move onwards or upwards, or that realization that in order to get something I've never had, I have to do something I've never done. So when we're talking about the earth signs as well, you know, I can't not say that there is some sort of perhaps a financial, a resource, or a practical component to it. Um, let's be honest, finances have changed a lot in the collective sphere for the past 2 years, which is very much eclipses in Taurus. So this might be, you know, when we're looking at this eclipse and, you know, reflecting on the past 2 years, this might be, okay, what practical steps do I need to take in order to continue to ensure my stability? You know, Venus in Virgo is, you know, she's adaptable, she's applying to Uranus, so she's open to something new, something different, something she hasn't tried before, to ensure stability, to ensure comfort, to ensure that things are running like a, you know, a tight ship. You know, this is, you know, whether it's comfort, whether it's your stability, whether it is, you know, your bank balance as well. So there's a resourcefulness here. This may not necessarily even be about money per se for you. You will really need to look at your Taurus and Scorpio houses where the eclipse is, and to some capacity as well, your Virgo house, because that is where the ruler is located. So for some of you, it may be about career and your home life. Maybe it's about you and your identity and relationships, and your habits and attitudes and how you feel about relationships. Maybe it's about friendships and creativity. It can take a lot of different manifestations there, depending on your own personal chart. So looking at those houses are going to personalize that information for you. Now, we can also see, if I just get my spotlighty thing on, Zoom have changed a lot of their settings, so I'm still kind of getting used to that. The moon is also applying to Taurus. The moon is also applying to Jupiter. So as far as traditional planetary pairings are concerned, this is a really, really beneficial, almost an enviable placement. So as far as eclipses go, this one is, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's benign, but it's not fraught. It's not difficult, at least on paper. There may be a little bit of a challenge or an obstacle to get out of a comfort zone and to try something new, but there's that suggestion here that there might be a happy landing or a happy ending, or some kind of hopeful, beneficial landing here, like a safety net or a security blanket. You know, try the new thing and you might discover, you know, hey, it's a way better than I even thought it could be. So as far as eclipses go, you know, this one, you know, and the eclipses are not all bad. Like, I really do want to challenge the zeitgeist on that. They can really bring future events into the here and present faster than you thought. So there is that possibility for a little bit of action, a little bit of effort. You can really move the needle, so to speak, in terms of change, in terms of stability, in terms of comfort in your life. It's like the seeds that you sow now will reap fruit, but you can't sow and reap in the same season. So there's something here that needs to be sown, that needs to be maybe fertilized a little bit, you know, and that's the action that you're taking, right? So that application to Jupiter is really pretty sweet. Now, we also see that there is a Mercury-Mars conjunction as well. So this one, a little contentious. That does bring a little bit of a different dynamic to the energy. I've seen this play out with legal issues. So, you know, especially on the back of a big summer retrograde in Venus in Leo, you know, there has been a breakdown of relationships on the personal front, the collective stuff, a lot of things happening. Like, I think it's pretty fair to say there's not a lot of harmony and flow in the collective sphere right now. So, you know, this is probably going to add a little bit of fuel to that. You know, Mars and Mercury, it's quite combative. Okay. So on the personal front, you know, this might be having to have some sharp words, some, you know, acid tongue conversations. You know, words can be weapons. Okay. I think that's really important to remember, but words can also heal. So if this eclipse does prompt you to change, then, you know, you still have the choice of how you think about that, right? Do you go into, oh my God, the sky is falling down, everything's changing, and I don't know what to do about this? Or is the self-talk a little bit, okay, this might be a little bit jarring, or it might be a little bit of a challenge for me, but hey, I think I can make this work. I can be okay with that. And that's the beauty of the Scorpio conjunction here. It's strategic. Okay, so break things down, pull things apart, figure out what action steps, Mars, you need to take in order to embrace some change, to do something different. I love the fact that this is in Scorpio, Mars is in Scorpio, and in November, Mars will make its conjunction with the Sun. I think that happens maybe November 18. So Mars too is also ready to be renewed. You know, Mars is at the, you know, the dark moon phase of the 2-year Mars cycle. So Mars is kind of running out of gas in a sense. So, you know, this is Mars breaking down. This is Mars ready for renewal. And again, that choice of how you think about a situation. The fact that it's Scorpio, it can be really regenerative. It can be transformative. And you can choose how you think, how you speak, and how you communicate. What words do you tell yourself, and what words do you put out there into the ether? What information do you share? Does it raise all boats, or is it adding to the combative nature of what the the social media landscape is right now? So this is all opposing Jupiter. You know, Jupiter is benefic. It wants to, again, raise those boats. It's magical, it's healing. Now, sometimes in order to have that magic and to have that healing, real talk is required. And I don't know about you, it hurts, but when someone has a real talk with me, like AKA calls me on my BS, I don't know if I can say that in full here on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Like sometimes we all have to hear things that we don't want to hear. Like someone might say to me, come on, Cass, pull your head in. And I'm like, oh, I don't, you know, nothing wrong with me. But, you know, we all have those moments where sometimes we do need to have that accountability. We do need to have someone tell us, you can't say that, you can't do that, you know, pull your head in, so to speak. And maybe you need to do that for someone else. The ability to raise boats comes with accountability, comes with calling BS. It, you know, it's not just like letting everything flow through to the keeper. So it's a little bit like the cruel to be kind. And there's always ways and means to do that. So there is real talk, calling BS, and accountability is possible. But it's not just doing that to attack, it's doing it to help, it's to be kind, it's to elevate. And this might, you know, pertain to your Taurus Scorpio houses. Like, what do you have to really look at and do away with, cut away with? The South Node has just been through Scorpio, so there is that cleansing component to it. Mars is going to make its conjunction with the Sun, an event that only happens every 2 years in the upcoming week. So there's something there about cleansing and renewal, sharpening the sword, but using it with intention as opposed to reaction. There's another signature here with the Mercury-Jupiter opposition too. And wherever I see Mercury and Jupiter configured, both of those planets do equate to money and finance. And this is a big part of the collective story right now. And I think it would be a disservice to kind of gloss over that reality in a YouTube video. So there is a money signature, and the eclipse axis for the last 2 years has been Taurus and Scorpio, which is classically known as the axis of resources. So this is our emotional reservoir of resources, what emotional safety looks like, psychological security and safety, versus the practical realities, food in the fridge, money in the bank, and a roof over our head. Now, it would be, I think, maybe a little bit of a misnomer to think, okay, well, maybe because this eclipse cycle's over, there's going to be maybe a teetering out in the economic, socioeconomic, geopolitical landscape. And I am seeing that actually being spoken about in some economic circles. Do be cautious about what you read in those areas, because you want to know like where their interests lie. So on the personal, the Mars conjoined Mercury opposite Jupiter, again, strategy, focus. What do you need to continue to cut away? What decisive money moves might you need to make? Mars is a cutter. It's decisive. And Mars in Scorpio sort of takes no prisoners neither. So this might be about being more decisive and ruthless and strategic with money, not only slashing expenses, because you can only continue to slash so far, but where can you generate more income? Remember, Scorpio is prime regeneration as well. Opposite Jupiter might bring new opportunities to improve cash flow and to do different things in that area. So the reason I wanted to bring that up and to talk about the things that are happening on the grander scale of things is because even though the eclipse cycle is winding up, the Taurus Scorpio axis isn't, or in particular the Taurus, because in April of next year, when we enter into the next eclipse cycle, when we have eclipses come through in Aries, we're going to have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So Jupiter and Uranus will finally conjoin, and I think that happens maybe at 22 Taurus from memory. And so this is going to be where the things that we enjoy to be stable and enduring gets shaken up again. There could be more inflation, more instability around what they call now food insecurity, which is literally like old-fashioned starvation. And I don't want to say that in a sense of panic or what have you, but I think we can probably expect that everything's going to get more expensive. So that part of life is going to get shaken up collectively. And on the personal, this is again another invitation, or another opportunity to embrace change in an area of life where you are resistant to it. Even if you're the most easygoing, laid-back person that there is, we all have a Taurus house, and we all have areas of our life that we don't like to be uncertain or unstable. Now, this eclipse this weekend, and even though the eclipse happens on the weekend, eclipses rarely, they're an event, but their effects linger. And so that applying Venus-Uranus trine is our subtle invitation there. If you get an invitation or an opportunity in the next little while to do something different, unique, a little bit out of the box for you, even if it feels like you have to get out of a comfort zone, I would recommend taking it, because that might be the gateway into what happens in April. Okay, so it might set you up for success. It might invite you to take a path that you wouldn't have thought about, that might help you when we move into the next eclipse season. So point being, I'd be loath to say, you know, what we say in Australia, she'll be right, mate. Just because this eclipse cycle is technically ending, because I think there will be a little bit of a hangover of this cycle come April. So just some thoughts to think about, but all in all, I do think that this eclipse is going to be a lot nicer than the Libra one that we had. There is going to be opportunities to get out of comfort zones, to maybe have some honest words, maybe even some harsh conversations that might just be that tension that needs to happen, that generates the positive change that I'm sure many of you may need right now. So that's my video for today. I hope that's helped you to think about the eclipse and what it might mean for you. I would really enjoy your comments and your feedback in the comments below. Tell me how this eclipse season's been for you. I know October has just flown by. It's crazy. I've already done all the material for November's Golden Circle. So if you would love more insight for the upcoming month and beyond, I would love for you to be inside the Golden Circle, which is my astrology membership. And all the details to join that will be in the show notes below as well. So I don't know if a happy eclipse is really the way to end this video. Either way, that's what I'm going to wish you, and I hope it's a good one.